Hello, this is Pastor Rick, and I want to welcome you to Lectionary Plus for this Sunday, August the 10th. This is to help you prepare for the worship service on Sunday. We have a series called By Request, and we're responding to you in the congregation who have offered, who filled out a paper making a request. And the request for this week that was chosen was Ruth. And Pastor Lillejord is going to preach on Ruth, but let me first encourage you to watch the Sunday Forum, because the Sunday Forum is going to use the Bible Project, its summary, 8-minute summary, video summary of Ruth. And I can tell you, you're going to enjoy that summary. But let me say a few things about the book of Ruth. 4 chapters. It's really a short story that you can read about 3 people, Ruth, Naomi, and Boaz. And it really starts with Naomi. She gets married and moves to Moab with her 2 sons. They marry 2 Moabitesses, and Ruth is one of them. Now, Moab, they were the arch enemies of Israel. So now they've moved into basically a foreign country, married foreign wives who culturally, again, were at enmity with Israel. Now, what happens is all the men die. Naomi's husband dies, the 2 others die, and now you have the 3 women together. Naomi, she feels very vulnerable, so she says, I'm going to go back to my people. Now, the 2 daughters-in-law have a decision to make. And for them, being from Moab, to go to Israel, where people don't like them, where people hate them, would make them very vulnerable, especially because they'd already been married. So the one daughter-in-law stays. The other, which is Ruth, says no to Naomi. I will go with you. I'll be loyal to you. Your people will be my people. Your God will be my God. One of the famous quotes out of Ruth. And so they go back together, really struggling until Ruth runs into Boaz. And here he is, a rich farmer. And the text describes him as not only loyal, but very generous. And so he allows Ruth to glean around the fields. And I think the text implies that he sort of falls in love with her. But really, it's not as much a love story as it was he was generous, because this was the tradition in a family that if a man died, someone close, a close relative, maybe the next brother, was supposed to marry his wife. In other words, to take responsibility for the wife and the kids, and also for the inheritance. And that's what Boaz does. Naomi's thrilled because now, because of the marriage, she thrives. Now she's going to have grandkids, and Ruth has what they're called a redeemer, that she was redeemed by Boaz. In fact, we get the birth of David and the Savior Jesus through this marriage. It's all in the genealogy. So big themes here. We'll see what's lifted up on Sunday is loyalty and generosity. Big deal. They're all loyal and generous to each other. All 3 characters, Boaz, Naomi, and Ruth. And we have redemption, this whole notion of buying someone back and providing them with cover, with support, and with security. Now, one of the amazing things about the text is God is never mentioned. Interesting. And yet God is over everything. He's in the back, so to speak, hiding behind every decision, every move that's made. And so one of the things to notice in this story is how God is often in the small decisions. God is behind the scenes, steering and making things happen, both small things as far as personal relationships, but also he uses these personal relationships and these decisions to bring a genealogy together where Jesus is born in that genealogy, where enemies, the Moabites and the Jews, come together as one family and finally produce the Savior. Now let's hear from Pastor Lillejord as he talks specifically about what he's going to lift up for the sermon.
Hi, everybody. It's Pastor Lillejord. Emmanuel, hope you're well. We're beginning on Sunday, August 10th, a 4-week series by request. And in case you hadn't heard, what we're doing, even to this day, is asking people to fill out a card. You can come and fill one out at Gina's desk at the front desk, or you can go into the sanctuary and find a card that simply says, I would like the pastor to preach on so-and-so, whether or not John 3:16, the feeding of the 5,000, 4,000, the raising of Lazarus, whatever. You can just pick it. We can't promise because we're probably going to have more than we have 4 weeks. But anyway, long way of saying the first week, the request is to preach on the woman in the Bible named Ruth. And it's about 4 chapters long. It's about 3.5 pages, but it's this episode. It's the life of Ruth. And just to catch you up to speed, in case you don't know, is that there's a woman named Naomi and had 2 sons and a husband, and the husband died, but 2 sons, and those 2 sons fell in love with a woman by the name of Oprah, not the one with the TV show, and Ruth. And then, unfortunately, Naomi's husband died. And then after that, the husbands of Oprah and Ruth died. And so all of a sudden they were without husbands. And what happened, of course, was intense grief. And Naomi was grief-stricken, and so was Oprah and Ruth. And they decided to go back to where they came from, because they left Israel to go to Moab, a place full of people they did not fully get along with, and vice versa. And the snapshot of it is Naomi looks at the 2 daughter-in-laws and says, you can go home because I know you're sad and you want to go back and be with family. And Oprah did, and that's fine. Needed mom and dad. But Ruth said, I'm going to stay with you because I'm family, because I was in love with your son. And I will live with you. I will grieve with you. I will wait for brighter days. And Ruth just becomes, at that moment, this kind of stalwart, strong companion in life, is that it hands us this terrible twist, but I'm going to stick with you. She also does a number of things and goes out and finds things to feed, and then ends up, through God's design, falling in love with another gentleman. And then they have a child, and that child actually gets married and has a child, and they call him David, King David. So Ruth, someone who just married somebody, ends up becoming someone who's from the lineage of King David. And so what we learn from it is what I'm going to tell you about on Sunday. But when people talk about Ruth in the Bible, they're talking about someone who's tenacious, someone who's tender, someone who's kind, someone who's faithful, always full of hope, and made the hard decision to be in a place with someone who's grieving, and then live to see a better, brighter day. I have a feeling you can probably figure out where we're going to go with this. But Ruth is a strong, faithful, hope-filled person, and we're called to be the same. So, meantime, think about that, pray about that. See you on Sunday, where we talk about and celebrate Ruth. Meantime, be well. God bless.